In the top stories, economic growth could come by year-end. The shooting death of a Brittons Hill young man outrages residents, and the 2 Bulgarians who robbed local ATMs are sentenced. Welcome to Nation News for Tuesday, July 15th, 2014. I'm Natasha Beckles.
No matter where you are in the world, at home or abroad, Nation News keeps you connected with what's happening in Barbados through our website, video newscast, and online e-papers. So stay connected with Nation News, your time, your way.
The central bank is now predicting growth for the Barbados economy from as early as year-end. The forecast of 0.3% from Central Bank Governor Dr. Delal Worrell came this afternoon as he released the much-awaited half-year report on the island's economic performance. He also projected a pickup in subsequent years to 1.2% in 2015 and 2.5% in 2016. Dr. Worrell explained that government was still facing a very tough time with falling receipts from VAT, corporate tax and indirect taxes. However, he said the consolidation tax had raked in $9 million, the tax on commercial banks another $4 million, and the public sector job cuts saved $20 million from the state's wages bill at the end of March. The governor also said the island was in a better foreign exchange position with 15.1 weeks of import cover.
The fiscal adjustment measures taken by the Barbados government between August 2013 and March this year appear to have begun to restore the balance of inflows and outflows of foreign exchange. And the foreign exchange reserve trends for the first 6 months of the year reverted to the pattern of the years from 2009 to 2012.
In an immediate response, Barbados Labour Party spokesman on the economy, Clyde Maskell, says the report suggests that government's fiscal adjustment package has failed to achieve any of its objectives.
There is no evidence of economic growth. There is no improvement in the fiscal deficit in spite of a barrage of taxes and expenditure cuts. The unemployment rate has to be over 13% in the face of 3,000 public sector job losses in the first quarter of this year. The central bank's foreign reserves declined by 51 million in spite of the foreign borrowing of almost 450 million between December 2013 and the first quarter of 2014.
A 20-year-old man was killed and 2 others injured when gunmen opened fire in Bonnet's housing area, Brittons Hill, St. Michael, last night. The deceased is Dario Ricardo Lloyd of Reese Road, Brittons Hill, who succumbed to his injury at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Police say 24-year-old LaRon Motley and 14-year-old Makia Knight were also shot in the incident. Motley underwent surgery while Knight is receiving medical attention. The 3 victims were reportedly among a group watching and playing dominoes about 9:45 p.m. when a number of people approached and began shooting. Lloyd's mother Angela and 2 sisters Alicia and Shakita Phillips told Nation News he was a fun-loving person. The young man's death has outraged residents of Bonnet.
No young body should be losing their life like that. Say these drive-by shooters and just shooting at the children and think as a young little boy. I have children too. I don't want your children to be dumping the ground, laying down in the road, shoot down like that, yeah? And I mean innocent child that never do nobody nothing. You understand? So any mother that got children will feel really bad what they say.
The 2 Bulgarians who compromised several automatic teller machines last year and took more than $300,000 from clients' bank accounts returned to the No. 5 Supreme Court for sentencing today. Vladimir Momchilov and Krasimir Yanakiv were both sentenced to 3 years in prison for money laundering and 18 months for going equipped with intent to commit theft. The custodial sentences were suspended for 3 years, but Momchilov was ordered to pay $200,000 forthwith or face 2 years in jail, while his accomplice was ordered to pay $150,000 or face a similar time in prison. Several Barbadians say they are ready to march in protest of government's policies, especially the controversial municipal solid waste tax. Nearly 200 people attended a Barbados Labour Party town hall meeting last night, and many roared their approval whenever marching was mentioned. Among those whipping up the crowd was Senator Wilfred Abrams, who said Barbadians should take to the streets between now and July 28th, which is the deadline to pay the tax. He insisted that Barbadians should not pay, while opposition candidate Desmond Sands also challenged government ministers to speak out against the tax. A few, however, were not moved by the rallying calls, including former MP Rommel Marshall, who said the BLP should instead tell Barbadians how it would help them to pay the tax. Meantime, members of the business community may get their way regarding the payment of the municipal solid waste tax. The new executive of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry met with Minister of Finance Chris Sinkler yesterday and made a case to have taxes owed by members offset by monies owed to the government. Led by President Tracy Shuffler, they also asked government to consider an extension of the tax deadline from July 28th to year-end without penalties being incurred. Sinkler said the first suggestion might call for legislative change, but promised to discuss the Chamber's proposal with senior members of his ministry and other related government departments to see if and how it could be implemented. Residents, old scholars and parents have put together a petition to save the historic Society Primary School. At a meeting on Monday night at the Holy Cross Church, those present said they were not pleased with the way in which the school, which has structural issues and a low roll, was closed. Attorney and activist David Comishong has joined the fight.
I suspect that if the matter is put back to the authorities in its correct context, that there will probably be a change of heart. And I also feel very strongly that if it is properly explained to the Barbadian society, that you're going to get lots of people willing to step forward and be of assistance to the school if that is what is required to keep it functioning.
The St. John building dates back to 1795 and was established by philanthropist Christopher Codrington as the first black elementary school and one to educate enslaved children. Barbados has moved away from its nation-building agenda and it is time to go back. This is according to attorney and political activist David Comishong, who says successive governments have compromised on healthcare and education and sold a number of state entities to foreign companies. He also charged that governments have only been paying lip service to agriculture and manufacturing, urging Barbadians not to lose hope or optimism as the country goes through these tough economic times. Mr. Comishong is inviting residents to Saturday's meeting of the University of Independence Square in the city. He will be among those speaking at the 5 p.m. meeting, along with Hallie Haynes, Lynette Holder, and Dr. Tennyson Joseph. We now go to Carol Martindale for our weekly commentary.
For a long time, there has been a push for women based on merit to be treated as equals in society. It was all about correcting gender imbalance. Thankfully, tremendous headway has been made in this regard. But there is a new challenge, and those who are talking about and pushing gender issues need to stop and look ahead, because the discussion will be taking on new meaning. The vocal and very visible lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community will add new dimensions to the debate. It's about the discrimination against this group because of their sexual orientation, something we will have to overcome and not use religious arguments nor our own phobia as a reason to discriminate. So gender issues will no longer cover just men and women, but inspire a new meaning in an ever-changing world.
In sport, sprinter Levi Cadogan has been included in the team for this month's World Junior Championships in Oregon. The Carifta Games silver medalist in the 100 meters is among 9 athletes selected for the biennial championships. He had missed the Central American and Caribbean Championships to continue rehabilitation after he pulled up injured in the semifinals of the men's 100 meters at national championships. Also in the team are CAC gold medalist Akila Jones, Rivaldo Leacock, and Tia Adena Bell, whilst Carifta gold medalist Shade Williams and Shamar Rock, CAC medalist Tristan Evelyn, Michael Nichols, and Gerard Mason round out those selected. For more details, log on to nationnews.com. Barbados lost their opening match in the NORCECA Youth Volleyball Championships to Mexico 25-14, 25-15, 25-14. The team got off to slow starts in the first 2 sets and made too many unforced errors in the third. The next match will be against an even tougher Cuba. And finally, inspectors at Los Angeles International Airport have seized an unusually slimy package, 67 live giant African snails. They had arrived from Nigeria and were being sent to a California resident. The snails, which are a popular delicacy across West Africa, are prohibited in the United States. Officials say this is the first time that they have confiscated them in such a large quantity at the airport. And that's Nation News for Tuesday. You can get it on our website, nationnews.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitter.